Hello, comrades. It is I, the guy who talks into microphones about things that nobody cares about. I am sorry if there's a bit of background noise. Some people are playing basketball outside, and some of the noise might bleed into the microphone, so I apologize for any distraction this may cause. For today, I would like to babble on about a philosophical precept regarding what some say distinguishes humans from other organisms on Earth, and that is reason. According to great men such as Aristotle, Thomas Aquinas, Thomas Hobbes, well, maybe he wasn't so great in my opinion, but whatever, he added to the marketplace of ideas, and Immanuel Kant. Reason is what sets us as humans apart from those foolish, bumbling animals. Perhaps I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm gonna disagree with that assessment. I invite you to stick around and not click on that other link just yet. Before I get too far, let me point out that there are two issues here I'd like to discuss. That of the infinite value of humans bestowed on us through our reasoning power, and the implication that we all possess the same value. After all, if we're all of infinite worth, then it must follow that we all have the same value, correct? I addressed the question of value in a separate session, so for this one I will focus on the idea that reason gives us that value. So I like to think of myself as a very reasonable person. I make an effort to solve problems. I try to balance information and dissect various ideas. I will compare and contrast different information in an effort to determine which one I think has the most validity. So in my own head, I'm a rational person. But despite this disposition, I also recognize that my humanity comes packaged with certain weaknesses. Despite my best efforts, my ability to reason is quite limited. If, as Kant says, reason bestows upon us infinite worth, shouldn't we have infinite reasoning power? There are many with whom I've had the pleasure of speaking, but some people, I start talking to them and it doesn't take long before I start questioning the extent of their reasoning power. I recognize that my own reasoning has limits, so I can give them a certain amount of leeway, but I'm sure you'll understand what I mean when I say that certain people just aren't all that reasonable. As a fellow traveler of the internet, I'm sure you've had a fair share of such encounters. It's often baffling how some people can make self-defeating statements, sometimes within the same sentence. So, are they reasonable? Human reasoning power, as with everything else, is constantly changing. After all, if it weren't, then humanity wouldn't ever make any progress. The fact that we have gone from Homo erectus to modern man should be proof enough of this point. But more than that, our reasoning power changes from day to day. I know this is true for me because I'm constantly trying to work out my reasoning, exercise it, if you will. And so the changes from day to day are quite noticeable. My mood, my diet, and a vast array of other factors play a role in influencing this ability. So using Kantian logic, is my infinite worth fluctuating to the tune of my reasoning? Am I becoming more infinitely valuable, or perhaps more equal? No, that's rubbish. Utter nonsense. What about those I referenced earlier who display self-defeating logic on a regular basis? Does their reasoning make them of less infinite worth? Talk about self-defeating logic. Something that changes over time cannot and is not infinite, nor equal. Plus, when we speak of reason, we speak of human understanding and the way that we as humans think about the world. Because reason is constantly changing, hopefully for the better, will the humans of the year 3 or say 4,000 be able to say that we were reasonable? What about the reasoning of Homo erectus? At the time, they were likely the most reasonable being on the planet, just as we are now. But does that truly make them reasonable? And because we're the most intelligent organism on the planet right now, does that mean that we're really all that intelligent? Sure, we'd like to think so. But keep in mind that a gorilla probably thinks of itself as the most reasonable organism as well. Stupid humans, their society doesn't make any sense. How about dolphins? They have large brains. Maybe they also have infinite worth bestowed upon them by a certain amount of reason. So I make the claim that reason does not set us apart, because all organisms likely consider themselves to be reasonable. It most certainly doesn't give us infinite worth, or make us equal with one another. If it did, we'd all have the same reasoning power, and that is most certainly not the case, for the reasons I've spelled out here and more. So what does set us apart? I have a tentative answer to that question, but that is a topic for another time. As always, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Join the discussion and feel free, or appreciated in fact, to share your opinion. Add ingredients to the intellectual stew. The marketplace of ideas needs more flavor. Until next time, have a brilliant planetary rotation.